Before we begin, please subscribe and like this channel so you never miss a new true story. My children were already dividing up the farm before the lawyer finished reading the will. I sat there in that oak-paneled office in downtown Des Moines, listening to my son Marcus whisper to his wife about which 100 acres he wanted, and my daughter Simone pulling out her phone to calculate the current market value of the property I'd spent 43 years building. The lawyer, Mr. Henderson, kept glancing at me over his reading glasses. But I didn't move. I didn't say a word. I just watched them the way a man watches clouds pass, with patience, with understanding, with the kind of calm that only comes when you've already made your peace with what's about to happen. My wife Helen had been gone for 6 months. Pancreatic cancer, the kind that moves fast and leaves nothing but silence in its wake. We'd been married for 52 years, and in all that time, I'd never raised my voice to her or at anyone else. I'd built Caldwell Farms from nothing, 240 acres of Iowa soil, cattle, equipment, a grain operation that kept us comfortable, more than comfortable. I'd put my son through Stanford, my daughter through Northwestern, and I'd made sure every single day that our home was a place of dignity and respect. But Helen's death had changed something in them, or perhaps it had just revealed what was already there, waiting beneath the surface like roots beneath soil. The will reading took 40 minutes. Helen had left everything to me: the house, the operating accounts, the land titles. She'd done it deliberately, the way Helen did everything. She knew that I would care for it properly, that I would protect it. She left small bequests to the children, money Helen had earned from her own investments over the years. But the farm itself, the real wealth, the legacy, it all came to me. I watched Marcus's jaw tighten. I watched Simone's fingers stop moving across her phone screen. "Of course," Mr. Henderson said, closing the folder. "As you all know, this can be updated at any time. These documents are only as binding as their most recent revision." My son stood up before the lawyer could finish. "Dad," he said, not looking at me, "Mum would have wanted us to be taken care of. The farm is worth nearly $8 million now. Surely you're not planning to just sit on it while we're trying to pay mortgages and tuition." I looked at him. Really looked at him. Marcus was 48 years old, successful, a venture capitalist in San Francisco with a house that overlooked the bay. His wife, Denise, had her own real estate business. They weren't struggling. They were hungry. "I'm not planning to do anything but tend to it," I said quietly, "the way your mother would have wanted." "Of course," Simone added, her voice sharp as flint, "because God forbid you actually help your own children. Dad spent his whole life on this farm. Don't the rest of us deserve something?" "You do," I said. "Your mother left you something." "That's insulting," Denise said. She'd barely acknowledged me when they arrived that morning. "We're family." I stood up slowly, steadying myself against the table. Not because I needed to, but because I wanted them to see that I was present, that I was aware, that I was choosing my next move with intention. "Yes," I said, "we are family, which is exactly why I'm not going to discuss this matter in a lawyer's office." I walked out of that room, and I didn't speak to any of them for 4 months. During those 4 months, I did what I'd always done. I tended the farm. I walked the fields at dawn, checking the soil, checking the animals. I sat on the porch in the evening with my coffee, watching the sun sink into the horizon, the sky turning colors that had no names. I let the silence do its work, and I made some phone calls. The first call was to my accountant. The second was to a man named James Chen, who'd approached me about the farm 5 years earlier when commodity prices were low. He was a development company, wanted to turn the land into a mixed-use community. I'd refused him then. The farm meant something to me. But circumstances change. People change. And sometimes you have to make decisions that hurt in order to protect what matters. I had James send me the new offer. 2 years had passed since his last proposal. The land was worth more now. The offer reflected it. $15 million for the entire 240 acres. It was substantially more than what Marcus had calculated. I set the offer aside and waited. In the 5th month, Marcus called. He was angry now, past politeness. He wanted to know what I planned to do with the farm. He wanted to know if I was selling it, because if I wasn't going to let him have it, he deserved to know what was happening to his inheritance. "It's not your inheritance," I said, my voice steady, my tone mild. "It's your mother's memory, and I'm handling it appropriately." "You're being selfish," he said. "You always were. You had everything, and you held onto it like it was going to be taken away. Maybe Mom was tired of that. Maybe that's why—" He stopped himself, but it was too late. "Why what?" I asked. He hung up. 2 weeks later, I had the lawyers prepare new documents. I did it alone, without telling anyone. I updated my will, leaving the farm not to my children, but to the Land Trust of Iowa, an organization dedicated to preserving agricultural heritage and supporting new farmers. It would be protected. It would be used. But it would not be sold by my children for quick profit, and it would not be divided among people who saw it as an asset rather than a legacy. I also decided to donate Helen's specific bequest to the same trust, doubling their charitable contribution. And then I did something else. Something that required me to sit down in my study and think very carefully about what I was doing and why, and whether the cost was worth the clarity. I called Mr. Henderson and asked him to arrange a meeting. All of them. Marcus, Simone, Denise, and me. They arrived on a Saturday in late autumn, the fields already turning gold. My son was defensive, my daughter was angry, and Denise looked like she was preparing for a fight. We sat in the same office, around the same table. "I've made some decisions," I said, "and I wanted you to hear them from me, before the papers become official." I took out copies of the new will and the deed transfer. I watched their faces as they read. Marcus's face went white. "You're giving the farm away? To a charity?" "I'm giving it to people who'll honor it," I said. "That's our money," Simone said, standing up. "That's our future." "No," I said quietly. "It's not. It never was. Your mother earned her own wealth, and she left it to you. That money is yours. This farm was a life. It was a calling, and I won't watch it become a transaction." "You're punishing us," Denise said. "I'm protecting something that mattered more to your mother than either of you ever understood," I replied. "I'm 40 years older than I was when I started this. I'm tired, and I'm done pretending that what I've built belongs to people who only want to sell it." Marcus stood up. His voice was cold now, the warmth we'd once shared completely gone. "You've made a mistake, Dad. We're done." "I know," I said, and I meant it. They left that office, and I never heard from them again. Not a phone call, not an email, not a message at Christmas or on my birthday. 6 years have passed since that day. But something interesting happened. The Land Trust used the farm as a training ground for young farmers trying to break into agricultural work. They created scholarships. They sponsored agricultural education programs at community colleges across 3 states. The farm became known as a place of learning, of legacy, of genuine contribution to the world. And sometimes on my evening walks through downtown Des Moines, I see young people, farmers, students, professionals, wearing the Land Trust's logo on their bags or their hats. I see their faces, bright with purpose. And I understand that my life's work didn't disappear. It just changed shape. Marcus eventually sold his house in San Francisco. Simone's real estate business didn't survive a market correction in 2030. They never built the lives they thought the farm would hand them. But I built something better. I built peace. I built a legacy that couldn't be divided, couldn't be argued over, couldn't be reduced to a number in a bank account. And every evening, as the sun sets over the fields I no longer own, but will always be part of, I sit with my coffee and I remember Helen. I remember her telling me, near the end, that the most important thing a man can do is know the difference between what belongs to him and what he belongs to. That farm belonged to me. I belonged to it. And in the end, I chose to honor that relationship honestly. True story